Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Ozcast. The Mental Health Show with Mark Aiston.
Hey Sarah, welcome to the Mental Health Show. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. How's your mental health?
Well, my mental health is, we're quite frazzled, but I've just been teaching a 3-month course to people here who were fire affected and needed to kind of, integrate their brains again. So I've been using a lot of those techniques on myself, to be honest.
Well, that's
because we're right in the eye of the storm with our show. As in, not a storm. It's not a storm at all. But we do have, there's restrictions with COVID. We might not be able to do a show in the rumour or be there or all of it. I mean, who knows? Things are flying all over the place. So it's really interesting to, check one's mental state. Plus learning choreography and, everything to do with the shows happening at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to talk about the show. First and foremost, tell us what the show's called.
It's called My Superpower.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about the show, and then we'll go back. But tell me a little bit about the show.
Right. Well, the whole reason, the why for the show is to excite teachers, parents, children, and really get the connection between adults and children. This is primary school and preschool too, so anywhere from sort of 4 to about, when you leave primary school, to really get them on the same page about how they can communicate with, healing and getting sort of better, I suppose, after what's been happening, with COVID and fires, especially in our areas, floods and fires and all the rest of it. So it's really about a very temperamental frog, a very sort of super sensitive frog who's quite naughty, and she lies and she does it. She basically does what children do, really. She's a normal child. And then her navigating through having to put her big pants on, and recover the magic potion for her great auntie Fifi, all of this. So she goes on the hero's journey. So she starts off just being a bit bored and whatever, but then she does all the wrong things, lies to her mother, and then she has to go and make it right. She has to go through the stinky, slimy, smelly swamp, and then she, recovers everything, and everything is sweet in the end. And she also has to learn. She finds out what her superpower is. Everybody has a superpower. Everyone's good at something. She thinks she's rubbish at everything, and she's not. She's actually finds something that she's actually really quite good at and she's proud of. And
the underlying theme, Sarah, is all about helping parents and guardians, I guess, help the younger ones, their kids, through a trauma. And this came about as a result, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it came about as a result of the bushfires over in your neck of the woods, which is in, and you just explain where you are. You're in New South Wales, aren't you?
Yes, I'm in southern New South Wales in Cabargo, and we were hit very hard with the fires. Over 200 people lost their homes. A lot of people are still living in caravans and tents and things still, because there just isn't the manpower to get them, so they're going through the winter, doing it quite tough. As we had fires down in Tarthar a couple of years before that. Yes, it's been a bit of a mess, really. And what happens is, the PTSD kind of sets in about a year and a half later. I formed the Cabargo Wellness Group straight after the fires, because we were the fires came up on all sides of our 15-acre property, but it didn't touch our house. So I decided that needs to be a wellness centre. And of course, I deal with all of the energy work, kinesiology and hypnosis and all sorts of different, massage and body work. And what really was wanted by the people after the fires, and I had no idea that we would be so, smashed with people, was body work, just holding people, just settling that sympathetic nervous system, and just really just calming the parasympathetic response. Now, little children, they're not able to express themselves, and after years and years as a therapist, I've realised that a lot of our problems come from when we are very young, and we can't process what we're learning. And of course, children are already in that slow brainwave state, that theta state. So they're already in that meditative state. And they're absorbing all of this information, and they have no way of understanding how to process it. So I just think that, give me a child until we're 7 and I'll show you the adult. That's a very common phrase. Aristotle said that, and the Jesuits and the Catholics and whoever. So when these kids reach 14, 15, if their nervous systems, if they don't know how to regulate, they don't know how to calm themselves, they're going to be in trouble. So we're going to have a whole society who doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
No doubt about that, yeah. Well, when on the day of the fires and the day after, what did you observe, in terms of the way that the kids reacted?
Oh, well, I had some young families who they'd lost their homes and they were absolutely in shock. All the parents were just totally in shock. And unable to speak, really. They were shaking. They were coming through the doors shaking. And really what actually happens is that prefrontal cortex kind of flips open and you're literally just firing from the amygdala, your survival brain. And so all of the stuff that you've stored away from your past, is just, there's nowhere for it to hide. So people were very raw and they just felt shameful because they were saying things and shouting at their partners and shouting at their children. And the kids were just bewildered. I mean, it looks like children are quite resilient, but that because I know that they're absorbing absolutely everything, I know what's going to happen, and the psychologists know what's going to happen. Yeah. But, I think that there isn't enough done for kids. At this time.
I agree.
And I really think that we need to focus on how are we going to help them. We can't just keep sticking them in front of a TV thing while they're arguing in the background, trying to sort out trying to get hold of a builder or, why they can't get, plans passed through the council and they're still living in a freaking, caravan, all of this stuff. And then they're just pushed to the side. It's like, just be quiet, just be over there. And they're just going, what's going on? Why is this? Why have all my toys burnt? Why is our house completely gone? And they don't really understand. And to talk to them about it, it's not enough. What was offered for our community is talk therapy. That actually sets in PTSD. What they need is actually tools to be able to get out of their heads, to reintegrate the brain and actually to calm the nervous system. So that's what we provide. That's what we've been providing as energy workers, massage therapists, all of that sort of stuff. And it was successful. We got grants for it. We helped the community. We've had 550 people coming through our doors with the various, and also connection. You see, this is another thing that COVID has done. Some of the major psychologists who specialize in trauma, they say it's not so important about the rebuild. It's more about your connection with other human beings. So when you've got someone with a mask on, and then all they're doing is seeing people with masks, they can't read their faces. They don't learn how to read other people. The parents are too busy to talk with the children. All of that sort of stuff. So they need, more than ever, they need connection. They need to be able to read facial expressions. They need to be understood themselves how they feel. And be able to say, I'm not feeling great. Every single story that we do with Ginger the Frog, it's about an 8-part series for schools, and that's what comes after this show. That's all the first question that you ask. Ginger, something happens to Ginger. She goes from feeling great to feeling rubbish, and then it's how do I feel? So it's always checking in, how do I feel? And you're in charge of how you feel. You don't, direct your anger at other people. You direct it up. Loads of tools for kids to be able to manage their emotions and to calm themselves down.
Well, they need that. They need this. You've had COVID as well, and you mentioned COVID. At this stage, give us the dates or the date of the performance.
Oh, well, we've got a show in Narooma We're going to Wallaga Lake, which is a preview, and that's the Yuan people who live in this area. So we'll be doing a show this Friday that actually got bumped from tomorrow to Friday. And then we're in Narooma. We've got 2 shows in Narooma on the 11th, which is Sunday the 11th coming up. And then we've got another preview for our community here for our preschools and schools in Cabargo on Wednesday, the following Wednesday. But then the big show in the bigger civic centre is on the 17th, which is Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday fortnight probably. Week on Saturday week, yeah.
Yeah, and that's got workshops and wellness stuff and all sorts of things as well as the show.
That's wonderful. So if people want to book, how do they do that?
They go to Ginger the Frog, www.gingerthefrog/show. And then they'll
.com.au.
I think, yes.
I would presume so.
gingerthefrog.com/show.
Oh, I got you.
That's the actual booking.
We'll just give that again. Just give that again.
Yeah, gingerthefrog.com/show.
That's it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and that will get them through. I don't think there's an AU in there.
Okay. No, that's fine. Otherwise, just Google Ginger the Frog, and I'm sure that you'll get the details.
My superpower.
Well, yes, absolutely. My superpower, absolutely. Look, thank you. It's a wonderful cause, and you've also got those, this wonderful idea of taking it to the schools, and I think that's just fantastic. And from what I understand, you'd like to do this nationally as well.
Well, we'd actually like to do it internationally. We've been talking to people overseas as well. But first we'll really focus on the areas that have been hit hard, whether it's drought or COVID or, well, everyone's COVID, aren't they? But, we will definitely take it nationally. I just feel it's needed. It's almost like it's a force that's driving itself now. It's like I'm part of it. I was the creator of it years ago, actually, Ginger the Frog, the series, wanting to get it into schools and everything. And now it's because of everything that's happened, we've managed to get lots of grants and government support and whatever.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Out there.
Absolutely wonderful. Sarah, thanks for joining us on the Mental Health Show. I really appreciate it.
That's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.